Welcome to the People's Guild.
Each week we explore the Splinterland universe with guests from all across the mythical land of Praetoria.
Join us on our journey as we discuss the evolution of the game, the strategy, the lore, and the exciting path that lies ahead.
To support the People's Guild, make sure you subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts, and also check us out on PeakD, YouTube, and Twitter.
Send your questions, suggestions, and epic battles in our comments through Twitter or email at thepeoplesguildspl@gmail.com. We'll feature the best in our episodes and maybe airdrop you some prizes.
Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show.
Welcome back to the People's Guild. Another week, another episode. This is your second episode of the week. We're very happy to present this one to you. I've been looking forward to this one for quite some time. Reached out to Joey, BreakingBenjamin, as soon as we started getting whispers of Rebellion coming this year. So that must have been, 3-4 months ago. And we put a pin in it until Rebellion was out and onto the airwaves, and here we are, coming on to the end of the year. And it's been a big couple of months to kind of finish 2023 strong. So yeah, happy to have BreakingBenjamin here. Joey, welcome. Quick shout out to Aqualis Marketplace, all the cool stuff that's happening over there. And I feel like it's long overdue, but quickly want to acknowledge the guild group that I'm a part of, the YGG Brawlers. Shout out to those guys, a great group of guys, and welcome to its newest member. I think by the time that this goes live, we will have officially welcomed our good buddy Hep to the fray that is the Brawlers group. So what's up, Hep? Welcome to Team NIF, bro.
Hey, thanks, man. Glad you guys had some space for me. Shout out to all the Phoenix crew. I'll be letting you guys know soon as of this recording, but yeah, I'm sure once everybody hears this, it'll be a done deal. But decided to kind of jump in, try to get up into some bigger tier brawl frays and get a little more action. So it's been fun, but decided to make a move, and excited to join YGG.
Awesome. All right, Joey. Yep. Well, welcome to the show, man. I appreciate you making time. Lots to talk about. But let's start with what's been going on, man. How's life? How's things?
Life is pretty good. I can't complain. Plan B, if you change your mind, we're looking for brawlers. Personally,
you could make a better offer here or something. Not that I've got an offer, but let the recruiting war start.
Oh, I don't have any offers. Where's the cool guy? Plan B, everyone.
Wow, I'm watching my co-host get poached right in front of my eyes. What's going on here?
You opened the door, man. You brought it up. You opened the door. You shouldn't have said anything.
Yeah, man. So in the meantime, we've been in our house for about a year after retiring from the military. I don't know. I couldn't be happier. After living in various houses throughout my military career, it's nice to have a forever home. We got a pool. We got an RV in the driveway. My mom actually just a couple months ago moving into the house right behind us. So we have a lot of boxes in our garage of stuff she wants to sell. As we talked about before this podcast started, we're looking at creating a website called stuffmymomgaveme.com. So we're going to be selling a bunch of stuff. My grandfather was in World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam, and he's got a lot of memorabilia. He was also a stamp collector and a coin collector. So hoping to make a little bit out of all the crap that my mom has saved over the years as we downsize to our forever homes. But yeah, that's where we're at. And
nice. So you're going to use that as funds to pay off the mortgage, or you can just plow it all back into Splinterlands again?
Yeah, probably put it into Splinterlands. I feel pretty good about our mortgage. I started investing in Bitcoin in 2015 ish. I bought it at $500. Put most of it into Splinterlands, but when the market bottomed out, I bought another Bitcoin. So we have one Bitcoin, which feels pretty good because it has been going up recently, and Splinterlands has also been going up recently. So happy with both of those decisions, and happy that we have Mein Kampf, like a first edition, and all kinds of Nazi paraphernalia that we can sell.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea what is the ballpark going rate for a first edition of that? That's intense.
So I'm not sure about Mein Kampf. We looked at the some of the Nazi paraphernalia, and one of the books is $100. The figurines are like $200. It's Hitler giving the Sig Heil, and we got a crap ton of those, as well as coins and stamps from that era. So I don't know. I feel pretty good about where we're at, both from inheritance perspective and the stuff that we've been doing ourselves.
Nice. You feel settled into the house yet?
I
feel
feel
like I
pretty
bought my house
good.
like 10 years ago and still don't feel settled in. I never do.
So given a shout out to my military roots, I would say I make enough not to be rich, but to live off my retirement and my disability to be comfortable. And I wouldn't have to work if I didn't want to. Unfortunately, I love working for Splinterlands, and I spend a lot of my time here working on Splinter lore, working on cards, and I don't know. It's a pretty good time. It's pretty awesome.
I know you're a big reader. Have you been reading any good books lately? Any good recommendations?
I would recommend the Red Rising series.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've read
So,
the first three twice, and then
yeah.
now that he finished the second trilogy, I'm starting to read that, and that's like,
Yo,
yeah, I read Iron Age and Iron Gold, and now I'm waiting in the queue for the library for my Kindle download of Dark Age. So
nice. So I also read the first three, and then he came out with three more. So I reread the first three. I am now on Dark Age.
okay.
And it's very reminiscent of the Divergent series, if you're familiar with that. And I remember in the third book of the Divergent series, she started writing from two different POVs because she ended up killing her main character. I should have said spoiler alert first. But yeah, so in the fourth book of the Red Rising series, I think there's 4 different POVs total. So I'm expecting the main character to die, but we shall see. I don't know for sure what's going to happen because I'm on the 4th book.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
This is the first time that what's his name? Do you remember the author's name?
Something Brown, right?
Pierce Brown.
Pierce Brown. Yeah. So yeah, he started writing from different POVs, and they're all first person. I think there's 4 total, and I'm expecting Darrow to die, but I don't know because I haven't been there yet.
Because the 4th. So you're on the 5th book though, right? Isn't Dark Age the 5th?
I'm on the 4th book with whatever that's called, Iron Gold.
Oh, okay.
Whatever.
I think that's Iron Gold. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I'm about, I don't know, halfway through Iron Gold. I read on my Kindle, so I don't have pages to flip through, so I'm not positive.
Yeah.
But I would say I'm about halfway through.
Cool. Yeah. Definitely cool series.
It's amazing, and I actually started I reread it because my own novels, the Democracy Inc. series, I use a lot of the same voice. I really liked his I'm not sure exactly how to say it. The way that Darrow spoke to the reader, he was kind of sarcastic, if you will, a little cynical, not a true hero as in I'm a hero, but someone who you can relate to a little bit better, and that's how I try to write Democracy Inc.
Cool. You want to give us a little bit of, we were talking off air about book number 2 in the Joey series. What's how are things looking? how are things looking on book 2? And for any fans out there that happen to come across the episode, hopefully, maybe you could give a little snippet of what's to come.
Yeah, so it's been slow going. I'm working on Splinterlands. I'm working on Rebellion. I'm working on conflicts and hopefully story mode to come. But in the meantime, yeah, I've got my own books. I have my eye on my own books. And Democracy Inc. tells the story of Titus Remington. And I always hate books where like there's a prophecy or you're destined to become a hero. I like books where you take the little guy and he rises up to the top. And in Democracy Inc., my protagonist he's a son of the CEO of one of the corporate states of America that rule the United States. But he has, I guess, fallen from grace. And he's not destined for greatness. There's no prophecy that says he's going to be awesome. He has to do it of his own actions. And that's kind of the story of Democracy Inc. And he does what he can to become great. And then the second book is called The Outlands, and so he's cast out from his culture and the corporate states of America, and he has to survive in this world that's been destroyed by nuclear war and all the other crap that corporations might have done to ruin our world. And it's kind of the story of how he rises up through that what's the right word, through the trials and tribulations that he experiences. So it's like his adventure through this dystopian landscape. It is part 2, and that's what I'm working on. And my goal is to approach a traditional publisher. My first 2 books, one was a bestseller on Amazon. The second did very well. It wasn't a bestseller, but I have great reviews. Sold a lot of books. But my third book is a follow-up to that second book. And I hope to approach an agent and be represented by a traditional publisher in that realm.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think I was re-listening to the first episode you did when you were on here and hearing you talk about that book, and I remembered, I wanted to go check that out. So I think while I'm waiting for that 5th book in the Red Rising series to hit my Kindle from the library, I'm from going away for the holidays, going down to Florida actually. So your neck of the woods, and I'm gonna try to pick up Democracy Inc. to read that on the plane and through the travels. Nice,
it's really good. I highly recommend it. And
should I buy the Kindle edition or the paperback? Which one's better for you?
I mean, either one's fine. Okay. The 8th Day, my very first novel, which was a bestseller on Amazon, I would not recommend the audiobook because I made a few edits. I probably deleted about 20 pages of analogies between the print edition and the audio version.
Mm-hmm.
But the 8th Day, I'm sorry, but the Democracy Inc., I don't think there were a lot of changes with the audiobook version.
Do you do the Audible versions for your own books, or do you have plans to do that?
No, my voice is too nerdy. I hire professional artists. For the 8th Day, I did a profit sharing. So everyone I sell, the narrator gets 50%. I get 50%.
Oh boy, is that kind of standard contractual agreement there? 50-50 feels a little bit like a slight to the author. You did all the heavy lifting.
So I don't know. It was my first book. And I don't know. I think it's pretty standard for a new author. Probably somebody like Stephen King, they get a little bit more. but I'm no Stephen King yet.
I like it.
Nice. Cool. Well, I'm wondering if you've obviously got a slew of new connections through this thing called Praetoria. Is there any room for we've all of the lore stories that have been kind of slowly creeping their way into YouTube and across airwaves? There's some fantastic narration that goes on there. Is there any room for hiring one of your cronies at Praetoria to come on board the personal author journey?
Yeah, actually, I hadn't even thought about it. Possibly. There's a couple of folks that are contractors that do the audio narration. Isaria, shout out to her. She's done the I don't know what you call them, the anthems or the songs for each of the winners that we've created. So she's extremely talented and awesome. And when the Rebellion theme song is released, you get to hear her voice in that, which is freaking incredible. She's extremely talented. She's extremely awesome. And personally, I think we're lucky to have her on the team. But as far as voice narrators go, for my own audiobooks, I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Yeah, cool. Is the Rebellion theme song that you referenced there from Isaria, is that not what was attached to the Rebellion trailer that was released?
It was. That's the same one.
Okay. Yeah, same song. Cool. All right, man. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit, Joey, about the, obviously the lore. I caught, your segments on the Rebellion launch party. There was a slew of you creative guys on there kind of talking shop around, what all is involved with putting the story together for Rebellion. And, you were, very proud to hang your hat on the fact that this is the first set where every character in the set has its place in the story. There's no more. I think you called out the Crypt Beetle as being, kind of the guy that's just randomly placed into the lore and doesn't really have a good fitting. And there's no more of that. So what is that process like, man? You're taking on a kind of a vast undertaking of world building and character creation and trying to create this emotional investment from us, the players, into these characters that you're, kind of creating from scratch. Where do you even start with this massive undertaking, man? What is that process like?
So yeah, I would say there's no Crypt Beetles or silent Shavis or random characters that you'll find in Rebellion. As you look at
I will quickly say that the picking on death continues. I love both of those cards. And
I don't know why I'm picking on death. I apologize for all those fans of death. Those just popped in my mind for whatever reason. So as we created the Rebellion characters, every single character that you find in Rebellion has a place in our story that they move it forward in some way, whether it's in the setup, the catalyst that moves us into Act 2, which is like the fun and games where the character experiences a story, or the resolution, which is the final battle where we fight against the Chaos Legion and we are victorious or not. So I encourage everyone who listens to this, who is interested in Rebellion, to read the lore of these characters, because each one of them plays a part. And I hope to I don't know, maybe we'll have some kind of contest in the lore channel where we point out these characters and look at, hey, how are they related? How do they interact? How do they drive the story forward? And a lot of them have a very personal connection to me. And if they don't, there's still part of the story. They're still a pivotal part in what we're trying to tell and how we're trying to describe how this moves forward. And as you read the lore, we wrote it as if, hey, the rebellion hasn't happened yet. This is, it's almost like the backstory of where are these characters at when the rebellion begins. Stuff hasn't kicked off yet. So how are these characters involved? How are they interacting? And eventually, how are they going to be part of the actual rebellion when we rise up? And are we going to be successful or not? I don't think we've actually said that.
Is it an option to not be successful? Have we figured that out at all?
Well, I know.
What do we have to do to get there? What do we have to do to push it forward? Is this going to be
So there's a couple different options. It all depends on Matt. As everybody knows, since the last time I was on this channel, we've had some cutbacks. From a narrative perspective, it's just me and one other guy. It's me and Cal Jericho, Dan Beasley. We're the ones who created all these cards, who have written the story of Rebellion, and we've come up with some different options of how to move forward from here. So not to give anything away, but that's kind of where we're at.
okay?
Question.
Yeah, I've got like, I just feel like a couple questions. I guess we're on the Rebellion lore. So I believe it was the last time you kind of came on board and the Chaos Legion cards were kind of already out and you were writing lore for the cards that were already there. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So we got the artwork. We said, here's the cards. Now write some lore for it. Which seems kind of backwards, but I mean, it worked out well because all the people that were on the narrative team were able to, chip in and create lore that I think was, I don't know, from my perspective, I thought it was pretty cool. But as we move forward to Rebellion, what we did was we wrote the story first, and then we decided, hey, these are the cards that we need to support the story. And that's what you find in Rebellion. So every single card that's in Rebellion from the I'm actually looking at them now, from the Gobelano Soldier, scroll down to the bottom, Nalara Gynek. Each one of these characters plays a pivotal role in moving the story forward. And I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts in the Lore channel on Discord. I'd love to hear how they think that all these characters interact, because there is a story for all these characters, and they're all interrelated in some way. And I can't wait to tell that, whether it's through story mode. I really see two different options. Would be story mode, or one of the other things I recommended, if we don't do story mode, just because of all the cutbacks at the company, is just a different set of lore for the skins on these characters. So you might get the Gobelano Soldier, and if you look at Rebellion lore right now, it's all backstory. Maybe you buy the skin, and when you look at the lore on the skin, it's different, and it says, hey, the Gobelano Soldier did X, Y, and Z, which I guess tells a different story of how they affected the rebellion. Does it make sense?
Yeah, interesting. That's interesting. Yeah, it'd be an interesting way to do it. So did you guys have that's what I was wondering too, because you're like looking at the cards, some of them are like very specific characters, right? Like some of them are have a very personal narrative. Like if you look at like Douth and Ironhood as a very personal narrative as compared to the Chaos Orc or the Chaos Golem. So yeah, so like, is that where you guys kind of, how did that come? What was the kind of the process? Can you tell us some of the process? Was it like you kind of figured out the story and then built the characters, or did you kind of say, hey, we want to have these like really cool, we've got some ideas for these really cool characters and build the story around them that way?
Yeah. So for the listeners who listened to the last podcast that I was on, Dalton Ironhood was originally called the Grimbardoon Commander.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So if I remember right, they were like, "Oh, so we're dropping some alpha here." Well, we actually changed the name to Dalton Ironhood. So he was originally the Grimbardoon Commander. We gave him a name because I mean that's what his story was. It was who he was, Dalton Ironhood. So each one of these characters has a place in the story, and a lot of them are interconnected. For example, let's take a look. The Flame Mephit is actually the elemental that's summoned by Nomos. So I'm pulling up Nomos's lore. Now he serves as at the whims of the Chaos Empire, clearing forests in the Broken Lands and carrying out other menial tasks. So he summons the Flame Mephit to I don't know, I guess do his bidding because he's a fire summoner, and he summons elementals from the plane of fire.
That's cool, man. I love hearing all these pieces come together. And you mentioned earlier in response to Hep's question around, you having a pretty good idea of what the future of lore looks like. It's according to Matt. I'm wondering how much room is there to wiggle in how we get there. So I'm wondering if it's like some of it is going to be determined by the characters or the character's interaction as a result of the player's involvement in the conflicts. So is there any sort of choose your own adventure type element that's involved with how the conflicts pan out and how the story, kind of bends and twists alongside all of that stuff?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes both ways. So for the conflicts, most of them are player created cards. So Rage was our concept. So we came up with the Rage, and we fit him into the conflicts. Let me back up a bit. So we had created the Rebellion cards, and we had written the story of the Rebellion before conflicts had even become a thing, right? So Rage is kind of the patriarch of the Redworm Dragons, who are part of the Broken Lands, and they live in the Redworm Mountains. If you check out the lore, you'll know what that means. But we incorporated them into the first conflict, and I think it works well. But the second conflict, if you are on the MAV server, I think it's called the Harbinger of Chaos or something. But that is not what that's not what the second card is going to be. That's just a placeholder. So the conflicts are really what drive the story forward at this point. So you start with the Rage, and you presumably defeat Rage, and you interdict the Chaos Legion supply lines, and you move on to the next part of the story. And I don't want to give that away here, because for whatever reason, I won't.
That doesn't sound like a good enough reason, Joey. I don't know.
I will give that away here because I'm on the People's Guild. So we defeat Rage, right? And
yes,
because we've done that, we've interdicted the supply lines. The rebellion rises up, and the only way you're going to know that before it actually happens is if you listen to the People's Guild. And there will be a uprising in shoot, I must have the F word. There will be an uprising in what's it called? The port city of the Central Fire in the north. not, is it called Solus? Can we here? You can
Cygen? Are you talking so Central Fire?
Central Fire in the north.
Solus.
It is Solus.
Yep.
Okay. So Oasis is the capital city of the Glordax Empire. Solus is our port city. So after you successfully interdict the supply lines with the Chaos Legion in around Icewall Bay, Solus is gonna be like, hell yeah, we have some power here. We're gonna rise up against the Chaos Legion. And so Solus will basically become a full-blown revolt, and the players will get to experience that through the next airdrop card, which I will not give away, but is being rewarded to the player who won a tournament at Splinterfest. Yeah, so that'll be, where the hell is my window? I can't see you guys.
Was that
So yeah,
D Tough stuff? Is that
yes,
right?
D-Tough stuff. D-Tough stuff.
Yeah, cool.
He has designed the next card for the conflicts. And I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I like her. I think her abilities and stats are pretty cool. And then, she'll be part of that conflict. And the next conflict will be a character from the Tome of Chaos stories. And not to give that away, so I won't. But it'll be a character from the Tome of Chaos stories. You can look at the cards that currently exist and figure out who it is. And
Silas?
then from there,
is that his name, Silas?
That's his name, but he's not a card. But from there, we will move forward, and it'll. The cool thing is, it's all based on what our players who won Rebellion cards create. So we're kind of making up as we go. As just as an example, this is really the only one that I have any idea what they're going to create is Bulldog's Darth Squirrel. So at some point you're going to see some squirrel pop up, and he is going to drive the story forward.
Well, that's on you, Joe. You got to flex that creativity muscle. And how does Darth Squirrel become Darth Squirrel?
I don't know, but it's going to be awesome, whatever it is. I don't think we're going with Darth just because of the Star Wars background behind it, and copyrights and et cetera, et cetera.
My mind jumps to the Spaceballs parody. So instead of Darth Squirrel, maybe we'll see Dark Squirrel, Dark Helmet Squirrel.
That is actually what I recommended to him, because we can't do Dark Squirrel, but I think Dark Squirrel works.
Got some good fair use parody material for you. I know a good copyright lawyer.
Yeah,
exactly.
Nice, man. But it sounds like there's plenty to keep you busy. So for anybody out there who was wondering if now that Rebellion is out and released into the world, if Joey's job and Joey's work has come to a screeching halt, there's your answer. So are you guys, I think you called out on that launch party that you guys already have a pretty good idea of the subsequent set, and subsequent set, I'm assuming that is referring to like the Rift Watchers to Chaos Legion, the Dice to Untamed. Is that as far in the storyline that you guys have thought ahead, or how far into the future have the creative team kind of storyboarded out and put pen to paper on?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about anything beyond that, but I will say that we do have all the character concepts for the next I would say the reward cards and the Mindy set planned out. I mean, we know where we want to go, and I mean, just for some insider information, when we create these cards, we create the cards. We start with character concepts. We create cards, and we hand them off to the devs, who I guess they'd be called character designers. So the character designers take our character concepts, they turn them into cards with stats, and not all of them necessarily line up with the vision for Rebellion. So when we created all these cards,
Nice
we
help.
said, all right, these, no, I'm not going to tell you the next set. So these are the cards we need. These are the characters we need on cards for Rebellion. And of course, the devs were like, well, we can give you X, Y, and Z, but we can't give you Commander Slade. So for fans of Splinterlands who actually read the lore and understand what's going on, they're like, who the hell's Commander Slade? I don't see that card. Well, that is probably going to be one of the reward cards, or it's going to be part of Rebellion. We have the story we want to tell, and we are telling it, but not all of them made it into Rebellion. So I would say there's probably 10 or 20 cards that I wanted to see that did not make it into Rebellion. I'm hoping they make it into the reward cards. If they don't, they'll make it into the mini set. And I'm hoping there's not too many that make it into the mini set, because we have this huge concept for what the mini set is. Rebellion is a story of how the Splinters and the people of Pretoria rise up against the Chaos Legion, and the mini set is basically the final battle. So you'll see a lot of these cards make their way into that story. We'll have new cards, and we'll have this huge epic battle against the Chaos Legion. I guess it's the Empire, the Chaos Empire, and we'll see who wins.
So does that mean we'll get that like kind of mini sets then after all the conflict cards come out? Conflict airdrops?
I don't know. It's up to Matt.
Okay. I just didn't know if you guys were like, no, thematically it has to be in this specific order or else it doesn't make sense.
So how much of a sphere of influence do you have as kind of the lore creator on what these characters and abilities and all that stuff actually look like on the other side?
Yeah,
so go ahead.
Interesting question. So when we start, I told you in the last podcast I was on that we'd come up with a story for Splinter Lore, and we'd created the story and populated it with characters. And then since then, these characters got passed on to the character devs. So Call Me Tim is basically the man when it comes to character devs. It used to be Yamamat, but he is now the CEO, and he does not have the time to dive into this. Call Me Tim, it has taken point on that. Byzantine Kitty, Biz helped him out, but he was basically the point man. So he took the characters that we created, assigned stats to them, and in many cases they didn't work out. So you'll eventually find that if you read the lore, you'll see that we have mention of some characters that aren't actually in Rebellion, and I'm hoping you'll see them in the mini set or reward cards. But the whole focus, and I totally agree with it, was that Splinterlands is a card game that's focused on mechanics and cards that synergize and work well when you play them versus just the lore. So you'll find a lot of cards that aren't actually in Rebellion that are mentioned in the lore that will make their way in the mini set and the reward cards.
Nice. Do we have a time frame on those rewards cards yet? I don't know if I've
Nope.
heard that. No.
No time frame. You do not know. I do not know. I'm hoping it's soon, but I've got a whole list of reward cards that I hope to make it into the reward cards, and if they don't, they'll make it into the mini set. And that's that's a cool thing about Rebellion. And for the mini set, I'm about to overshare. So hopefully you have a lot of listeners that can share this. But my goals for the mini set is that the Rebellion is semi-successful. We've retaken Praetoria, but Silas of the Rift is the leader of the Chaos Legion, and he's not someone you can just defeat in the pristine Northwest or the wild
Northeast.
Northeast or the Great Lowlands or the Shimmering Coast. He's much more than that, and you will not defeat him in the Rebellion. But possibly, if my vision is realized, that's going to be the mini set. Is when the Knights of the Silver Shield in the pristine Northwest and the people of Ferronon in the wild Northeast and the Phyrexian Empire in the Great Lowlands and the Belarusian Empire in the Shimmering Coast. It's gonna be like Lord of the Rings, where all these armies converge and fight against the Chaos Legion and what's left of them and Silas of the Rift, and converge on Mount Praetorius, and you have this dark god Uul, kind of his tentacles coming out of the Mount Praetorius. And you might ask yourself, why did Silas of the Rift not just leverage this dark god to consume the Splinterlands? Why is he not letting Uul consume the Splinterlands? What is his purpose? And that's part of the story of the mini set that we're going to tell.
Awesome, man.
Awesome.
Has there been any consideration to, and it sounds like storyline, the reward cards are going to, follow the same footprint and have their place in the lore and that sort of stuff. Has there been any thought to naming the reward card sets instead of just keeping them as kind of a reward card batch?
No. So we haven't named the reward cards. I have a name for the mini set. We'll see if Nate gives me a thumbs up or if I need to redo it. But I mean, in my mind, I know what the mini set is called. The reward cards are just reward cards. Mm-hmm. They're just kind of like what do you call it? A stop gap. I want them to be the cards that I wanted in Rebellion that didn't fit.
Do you care to share the name that you're kind of workshopping for the mini set?
Why not? Let me pull that up. Don't tell Nate I told you guys this.
Hopefully Nate finds out for himself, brother.
All right, so I gotta pull up let's see, Rebellion Mace, Rebellion lore. That's not it. Rebellion. Sorry, you can edit this if you want. Looking for Google Sheets. All right, so by element. Oh, here we go. So these are the cards that I had created for Rebellion that did not make it into the set, and they may or not make it into the reward cards. They may be part of the mini set, or they may never be created. The Drybone Hobgoblin. So you have the Drybone Anarchists, which they've kind of played a crucial role in our lore so far. They're part of the Drybone Badlands, and you see their summoner. Their leader is one of the summoners. Their daughter is one of the Rebellion cards. His daughter is one of the Rebellion cards. But we have the Drybone Hobgoblin, the Kazi Falconer, which was replaced by the Kazi Fire Mage in Rebellion. The dry Nate gave me hell about this one. The dry bone megalodon. So I was a big fan of you guys watch Tremors? You ever seen the movie Tremors?
Yeah.
So they have these giant freaking worms that pop
Worms.
out of there. So I was like, why not sharks instead of worms? So the dry bone megalodon was this giant freaking shark, and you see this little freaking not little giant fin come carving through the earth, and this shark leap out and eat you. So the dry bone
That'd be cool.
megalodon,
That's an interesting take on it. Yeah, I know, like the worms. Yeah, it's like Dune and then Tremors and all that.
exactly.
But yeah,
Yeah, so shark instead of worm. Then the frigid direwolf, which was part of the story at one point that I want to keep it. The giant alpine skink, Martoran trader, that's actually in there till the last minute but it ended up having bloodlust and having a card called Martoran trader with bloodlust and weird. But the trader is basically a citizen of Martoran who helps the citizens of Martoran and the outlying splinters fight against the Chaos Legion.
nice.
Sergeant Drazerl, who's actually a member of the Chaos Legion, the Blackmore Anaconda, which is in Blackmore Basin, Dagonloth Vulture, which was replaced with the Dagonloth Harpy. Or sorry, who's that replaced with?
And a lot of these names and characters that you're bringing up, the first thing that comes to my head is like, man, we got to hop on. What's that website that you can pay actors or popular personalities to like read messages for you? And you guys know what a Cameo? Yes, I feel like we should be recruiting Samuel L. Jackson to like read some Splinterlands lore and
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, like the giant anaconda, the snake, the sharks coming out of the land. Like, man, I want some 4-letter words and Samuel L. Jackson's voice reading the lore on that stuff, man.
And then Rick Loneman, who listeners who are familiar with the Tome of Chaos, Rick Loneman was a major player, but we couldn't make the stats fit, so we replaced him with Safa Toledo, and I'm hoping to get Rick Loneman in the mini. I want to get him in the reward cards before the mini set. Rick Loneman, if you're a listener who's familiar, he was part of the initial attack against the Chaos Legion when the combined Splinterlands Armada fought against the Chaos Legion. The story was told from his point of view, and he's a part of the Tome of Chaos Heroes, now called the Dauntless. The Sky Spire Leopard, Giant Karst Bat, which were replaced by the Karst Harpies. Night Reaper, which is part of the final story. Magdud the Vile, who is a major player in the fight against the Glorix Empire. Broken Earth Thug, who lives in the deep. Death Ranger, part of the Dark Eternals. Commander Slade, I think I've already mentioned him. He's one of the Dark Eternals. No, I'm sorry. Commander Slade is a former Belarusian Empire overlord who joins the Chaos Empire. Redworm Dragonling and Nimbleduke Explorer in the Chaos Battle. Is that not? Did we really get rid of the Chaos Battle Mage? Shoot. And that's it.
Yeah, we're Jangles and I, our land is in the Karst area, so it was definitely cool. I was definitely excited. I was looking forward, hoping there was going to be some sort of Karst monsters in Rebellion. So getting the Karst Harpy, the Sea of Karst was pretty cool. So but I don't know, a sea shark, a sand shark sort of thing in the Sea of Karst too. Now you got my mind like stuck on that. Now we're gonna have to get in touch with Nate and say, we need to start like a petition to bring back the Megalodon.
So the Megalodon is part of the Drybone Badlands, which is just to the west of the Sea of
Okay,
Karst.
just below, yeah.
But you have the Karst harpies, and if you read their lore, there's mention of the Karst bats, which is one of the cards that we want to create for. Hopefully, it'll be a reward card. But every single one of these characters is part of our lore and part of our story. Unlike Chaos Legion, where, hey, here's all these cards, now write lore for them. I was actually able to I was the narrative lead for Rebellion. So I was able to create the story and create the characters to support it.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah, very cool, man. Are you able to share, Joey, what the name of the mini set that you're workshopping? No. Okay.
No, don't even try.
We can't twist your arm on that one, huh?
I know what I want it to be, but I mean, ultimately, it's up to Nate, and he is very particular about certain things, which is good. He gives me a lot of free reign in certain areas, but in what he feels is important, he's very particular about it. And I don't know, that's one of the reasons I like working for him, is his attention to detail on what he feels is important, and his willingness to give me free reign in other areas.
Looking at a lot of the cards, and the land description kind of on Splinter lore. A lot of the new cards, Rebellion, it seems like come from the deep. How does the deep? What are your thoughts of how the deep might tie into land one day? So really, right now we're kind of all on the surface here, but we've got this cavern system underneath where looks like there's a lot of creatures and characters are coming from, and maybe some stuff going on. So what's kind of your vision for that, or what you'd like to see happen with there?
Yeah, for listeners who haven't read the Deep, it's kind of like our version of the Underdark from Forgotten Realms or Dungeons of Dragons, and we have a few characters from the Deep, which are going to play a part as we move forward. And I hope to tell a lot of stories that partake of the Deep. One of our major characters is, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Starts with the D, ends with the D. Who's a death summoner, dual element?
Oh, I don't know the name of that one yet. I haven't used that guy yet. Let's see.
It's not Zedico? No. Is it the fire? Oh, Dolfar Darlak.
Dolfar Darflak. I love that dude. I'm sorry. I can't remember his name. I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah,
so he's from the
cool
Deep. He's from the kingdom of Darkforge, which is a splinter we haven't written yet. As you click on those links in the lore, I'm trying to get them updated as quickly as possible. But Darkforge is one of the splinters we haven't had a chance to flesh out yet. But yeah, we want to do more with the Deep, because it's like, I see it as this entire world beneath Praetoria that we can delve into, and we figured out what are the splinters, what are the species and races that exist in the Deep, and it's possible that one of our future card sets will be entirely based on the Deep.
That'd be awesome. So I know you probably can't get into specifics, but are we thinking, or do I don't know if you could say if you started to work on this yet, but sort of the next set after, not the mini set, but when we've now gone on to the next main set, are we gonna is it going to be kind of a look to do a continuation of this story in a certain way, or are we going to kind of switch themes entirely?
So after the mini set, I mean, my goal is to not, oh shit, Rebellion's done, just forget about it. My goal is to continue on the story, so there's continuity. And if my vision continues as I want it to. Uul, the Dark God, that's part of the Chaos Legion. Even though Silas may or may not be defeated, Uul will still play a part. And we have hints of that in Rebellion, which you will see if everything comes to fruition as I want it to. But Uul will most likely play a major part in the next card set.
Okay, interesting.
I don't know how much was revealed. How much do you guys know about the set that we almost did with the movie studio? Do you guys know
Next to nothing? Next to nothing. Enlighten us.
No, I cannot. I'm unfortunately under a non-disclosure agreement. But I literally had written an entire freaking story related to it. But I don't want to scrap it, and I want it to be part of the next card set. So that may be a hint or not. And Hapthorne, I notice your background is the occupied land. Check out
Occupied Canyon.
Yeah. Have you? I mean, based on a conversation, I assume you've read The Deep.
Yeah.
Have you? Mm-hmm. Do you remember the Dadocs? The very last section is Dadocs. You remember that?
Yeah.
So that's occupied land.
Okay.
So Dadocs are those creatures.
Oh, so those are the yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
So when the Chaos Legion invaded, when the Rift Watchers came, it opened up portals to the lower planes, and these creatures spelled forth. They occupied the deep, the deep, and they eventually made their way up to the surface. And those are the creatures that you see on occupied land.
Ah, okay. I didn't put that. Probably should have put that together. Given
you probably should have. I don't know what
it looks like, but yeah.
And we actually have. We've been super busy pumping out Splinterlands lore. So I don't know if you've seen. We recently published the timeline. What else have we published? Lore.splinterlands.com. Let's look at this.
I don't even think I've caught up on all the different splinters information that you guys, but that was like so much that was put out. That was, that was great.
So from the last time I'm on here, that there's been a whole crap ton of splinters that we published.
Yeah.
There's a lot that are coming soon. All the coming soon ones are they're our top priority, because if it was mentioned in Rebellion, it became a coming soon on Splinter lore, because I wanted it to be the next thing up. Nate today approved our lore for magic, so you'll understand how the elements work, how mana works, how magic works. What the hell does that mean? That will be published soon.
Awesome.
I almost publish it tomorrow, but I want to talk to Isaria, she is our marketing team. So to figure out how to get that, make sure we get that out to everybody. And then Cal Jericho and I, the narrative team, have written I wish we were video, because then I could show some of the gods and goddesses. But today I finished the lore for the planes of existence. So I had the material planes, the inner planes, the outer planes, the upper planes, the lower planes, and what the hell all that looks like, with the description of each, plus our pantheon, which is the gods and goddesses. And the artwork for that is freaking insane. I freaking love it. And I'm not trying to convince. I will convince in the future. Don't tell Nate this. I'd love to see a card set based on our gods and goddesses, where these characters become that the tactic stage, where I'm going to play my god of Earth and give everybody +1 magic if they're an Earth card or whatever. No promises, but that I think that'd be freaking cool, is to have these gods and goddesses able to impact gameplay. But if they don't, still, they're freaking cool. You'll have to check out the artwork when we're done with it, because it's awesome. And what else are we doing? Oh, currencies on Splinter lore. Cal Jericho has been heading that up as well. He headed up the gods and goddesses, our pantheon. But we have the currency for the Galorix Empire, the Kamian Empire, the Phyrexian Empire. So what coins do these individuals use? And it probably, no, not probably. They won't be actual crypto currencies, but they will be part of our lore. And I'm looking forward to seeing that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I remember you had mentioned something like that when you were on the podcast last time, and I thought, oh, he's just like spitballing, because that seems like such a detail oriented thing. But it's really cool that you guys are able to kind of get around and get to some of that stuff and really kind of set the canon for it moving forward.
Yeah, we're giant nerds, and we create currencies and gods and splinters and lore about the Praetoria. You may wonder why we're not creating lore for the other continents, like the Burning Lands and Mortis and etc. But there's a reason for that, and you'll find out why.
Stay tuned.
How soon?
Stay tuned.
Is there any thought to, I think a lot of players tend to, I'm sure much to your chagrin, tend to kind of put the lore on the back burner with everything else that's going on. Say again?
No, I didn't say anything. Yeah, so in Discord, man, who was it? I wish I could remember it on my head. It was like who's the female on Discord who it was like Mike.
Oh, Simply Mike?
Simply Mike. I think it was Simply Mike. And if I'm wrong, I apologize. But Simply Mike was like, you guys read the lore? Some kind of meme. But yeah, I think to miss out on the lore is to miss out on a large part of the Splinterverse. Sure, you can just play the game and play the cards, and it's a freaking auto battler. And yay! But if you read the lore, specifically for Rebellion, each one of these cards has a personality and a part that they play in the Rebellion. The Rebellion lore tells their story. It's kind of like their backstory. If you read the Rebellion lore, where were these characters at before the Rebellion actually kicked off? And I mean, I wrote it, so maybe it's just personal bias. But I think it's pretty cool to figure out, to understand where each of these cards were and how they're rolling into the Rebellion. And as we release, whether it's story mode or whether we forego story mode and we just release skins of these cards, it will share with the players what part each of these cards had to play in the Rebellion.
Yeah, you've mentioned story mode, a couple times. I think that's, is that something they're thinking about doing, as part of like the, developing kind of more of the onboarding new player experience, kind of having a story mode that kind of walks you through, how the game is played and kind of gives you some background on this stuff for new players? Or is this something, kind of different you're envisioning?
Kind of both. So when Conflicts is released, you'll see an academy, and it'll be in the top right hand corner. You'll be able to click on it, and it'll kind of explain how Conflicts works. And that's kind of our phase 1.0 of the new player experience. And I kind of envision that's how the new player experience will work at first. But long term, I hope that the new player experience will be much more. And I had this vision where it's kind of like Hogwarts for Splinterlands. I've actually created these bios for each one of the instructors. I've named what the academy is. It'd be kind of like you click into it and you're taken through a story and you have to fight battles and you get to learn from it. So yeah, that's kind of my vision of what the new player experience is. And I mean, it applies to conflicts, it applies to tournaments, it applies to ranked battles, it can apply to everything. So I'm really hoping that someday we get to that point. And I don't know. I think it'd be really cool. We've had a lot of cutbacks in the company, and it's not our number one priority, but I know it is a priority for 2024. So I'm hopefully by the end of the year you get to see something like that.
Yeah, I mean, definitely would love to see that. I know it was kind of confusing when I first started out. A little bit of a learning curve, but one of the things we hear is that one of the big issues with doing all the coding and the development of this is just that, it's not just building this game, it's, being able to integrate it with, the blockchain and like how the different interactions happen there. And it's hard because there's not as many coders out there that are experienced with doing this type of thing, because it's all pretty groundbreaking, which is all very understandable. But like something what you're describing, right? Couldn't that be built more just as like almost like a Web 2 game that someone would play first, and then we could kind of, that is sort of like the gateway, which then introduces them into the full game? Like, could that be sort of compartmentalized? Has there been any talks about something like that, where we could, if the team couldn't do it, we could maybe try to outsource it to somebody to get it, to kind of get that going? I mean, yeah, people build, game. I feel like we could have enough. We could get enough people from the community to build something like that on Unity if they had, the time and the artwork to be able to put it together.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something that could be outsourced and built third party. Preferably it would be in game, and it would be something that when you log on you see it. It's something you click or something that pops up that's an integral part of the Splinterlands experience. But barring that, I mean, yeah, it could be third party, definitely.
Yeah, I feel like we've heard throughout 2023 that it was tokenomics first, getting everything in order. We've heard this from Aggie, we've heard this from Nate, and some of the other guys throughout the year. And new user experience in particular was kind of the next on the docket to get a little bit of a looking at and dust off and revamp. Well, the time is here. I'm hoping that we're able to see that stuff come to fruition sooner rather than later. And it feels like such a great opportunity with, obviously we've seen the tokens rise. We've seen, DEC flirting with PEG for a little while, and, SPS continues to pump, and assets are holding value better than they have in a long time. So eyes are going to start coming in from, other spots outside of the Hive community, Splinterlands community. So having our new user experience shored up before that happens, it feels like a great opportunity. And to kind of further your argument, Joey, of really taking advantage of that and marrying permanently the lore to the gameplay, and getting that emotional investment from players, to have biases towards particular characters and splinters and elements and that sort of stuff feels like a logical next step.
Yeah, I mean, definitely 100%. There's so much potential for Splinterlands outside of rank play and land and everything else. There's so much that we can do. We just need the time and the resources to actually make it happen. And given the team that we have, it's an incredible breadth of talent, and I think we can make it happen. And I know that there's been roadmaps and shit that we've done and stuff that we've done.
It's good.
But it's just actually realizing it and making sure it happens. And I think we can get there. And I mean, I know we can get there. It's just, it takes time, and then the community is like, when, but it will be here eventually. And everyone on the team is passionate about, about Splinterlands, about the new player experience, and about everything else that the community is clamoring for. We all want that because we're all players. We're all invested in Splinterlands, and we want to make it happen. But there's only so many people. There's only so many people to do it. You know what I mean? It'll be here, and I just hope people hang on to see it happen. We have land, we have rebellion, we have ranked battle, we have all this stuff, and it's freaking cool. But it will be so much cooler in the coming year.
I'm wondering, has there ever been any talk, or have you ever dreamed of sort of putting these stories, like the Chaos Legion story, the Rebellion story, into kind of like a comic book or graphic novel type format? Because I feel like the story's there, the image artwork's there. It would just be like piecing it together, and I don't know. It'd be cool. I'd be so into that, like be able to have those, sort of in a series, kind of lined up on the shelf. And I think that'd be a really good way, and a good way to get people like into the lore more, because I feel like so much of it is there, and you get to kind of piece it together, and that'd be super cool. I know it's just probably adding more work to people's plates, but have you ever thought about that? Has there ever been those discussions?
I've thought about it, but because it's just me and Dan Beasley, aka Cal Jericho, it is probably somewhere down the line. I mean, from a personal perspective, I have enough on my plate, enough hours in the day to occupy myself with building, creating cards, writing copy for conflicts and the new player experience, and the Splinterlands website in general. I want time to write my own books. And
you don't have to whisper it. You can say it loud.
I want time to write my own books.
You're that Nate, lay off the man.
Hire some more people. But yeah, I would love to see that. But right now is not the time. If we enter a bull market and we're able to hire more people, I think that's definitely a possibility. And I think we're on the cusp of a bull market. And I think we're almost there. And I would love to see that happen. I think it would be incredible. And I would love to read those stories and dive in more into it. But we're just not there yet.
Ooh, hopefully soon then.
Maybe Nate will give me a raise and I will just write books for Splinterlands.
Yeah, I'm with Hep. There's a lot to the, having the physical book. I think, you guys, I think this was before your time, Joey, but and Hep, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like the Splinter Encyclopedia that you got off of eBay. That was before your time. But yeah, as soon as I think it was after Waskell and we had you on last time, Joey. I think Hep, you reached out and said you'd found the book that we referenced or something like that. And
I found
went out and got it off eBay.
And grabbed it.
Yeah. If you read that, it was 100% written by the players, so it was good. I mean, I read the whole thing, obviously, from front to back multiple times.
Yeah.
But the problem was that there were discrepancies. So in some in some splinters, Earth, life, death, Mortis, Chimea, etc. There were mentions of different things, like there were different moons. It's like, hey, we're on the same freaking planet. Why are there different moons over Chimea, as over the Birding Lands, as over Mortis, as over the Liberia? What's it called? Liberia, the Earth splinter. They shouldn't be different. It's all the same place. And the other thing that was kind of, I don't know what the right word is, kind of a, I'm just going to say misnomer because it doesn't make any sense. But as you read it was very specific, as if these continents were just Gobson and just the Phyrexian Empire and just the Belarusian Empire, whereas
like every area was very homogenous.
It was a freaking continent, and there should be much more to it than that. Yeah. And it talked about culture and languages and very specific things and what was important, but it wasn't really inclusive of everything that would comprise a continent. So when we built the lore for Praetoria, Nate was like, yeah, it's much more than that. It's not the people who came from the Mortis, and the people who came from the Burning Lands, and the people who came from Chimea. It wasn't just one empire or one kingdom or one splinter. It was a lot. It was a lot more than that. So as we built the lore for Praetoria, that's what you see.
Beautiful, man. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a really long way to say that, the demand for the physical stuff, I still see people flaunting their, physical card packs that they picked up at Splinterfest. And, as somebody who was, an outsider to all of that, there's a little bit of envy for not having, the Dr. Blight figurine, or, any of the business cards even were a big attraction for folks. Just having that physical piece to kind of tie us to that, this mythical digital land that is Praetoria. There's a lot to be said there, man. I would love to see like the graphic novel come out with, physical pages that I can turn and read and kind of catch me up on all things Splinter lore. But yeah, like you say, man, when we talk new user experience, and given the limited capacity of the current team, actually new user experience is this huge umbrella of stuff. And, when you start to break it down on a micro level, I mean, there's just so much that you guys have taken on for, yeah, we're going to look at new user experience. Okay, what does that entail? And thinking about like each particular detail, it's actually a monumental task to revamp the new user experience. So I think about what does 2024 potentially look like, and it feels like there's so many different projects that are happening at Team Steam Monsters that whether it's an update on the new user experience, or Matt continues to kind of trickle out these 2.0 white paper pieces. Obviously that's moving towards the bigger picture of the full white paper release, and Land 1.6 and 2.0 and all these other things, and new rewards cards. So there's all these like different components that are going to be rolled out. And I think it, from my limited understanding of how the team is functioning, there's going to be a lot of steam gathered as we kind of progress through 2024. And it's not all going to be, a tokenomics play like it was in 2023. It feels like more so it's going to be, here we've got a piece that's rolling out to address the new user experience. Here's a piece to address, the gaps that are currently existing in Praetoria, the land. Here's a piece that's going to address the appetite for new cards and potentially abilities with rewards cards. And, so it feels like there's potential for a whole lot of momentum across the full gamut of Splinterlands, where, maybe you guys feel differently, but it felt like for, gosh, I guess 6, 7, 8 months of Splinterlands, all the updates were really tokenomic based stuff, and it wasn't super exciting time outside of like the new reward cards. There was a long stretch where we didn't get anything really new to the Splinterlands universe. Do you guys kind of view 2024 similarly, and what potential is there?
Yeah, so I mean, tokenomics plays a large part because the success of Splinterlands is really based on its tokenomics, SPS, DEC, vouchers, etc. But at the same time, gameplay is equally important, because who the hell wants to invest in tokens when gameplay sucks? And who wants to invest in gameplay if there's no lore behind it? So I think everything it's kind of like a holistic approach where you make sure that the tokenomics works, the gameplay works, and the lore behind it all support the tokenomics and the gameplay. So in my mind, everything is equally important. And I think it was as we move forward and as we start to attract outside investors, they're going to be looking at all those things. If we don't have tokenomics that work, which is probably the number one thing, if we don't have gameplay that works, which is pretty freaking important, if the game sucks, then who cares about the tokenomics? And if the lore behind it is a ball of crap, then who cares about the gameplay? It all supports each other. That's my view of it.
Yeah, I think that's well said. I think, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You kind of got to have it all. You got to have it all. Yeah. But, without the lore, just kind of having just these, well, what are these cards? What do they mean? What's, it's good to have a story behind everything. Yeah. To me, I really enjoy it, especially like the cards I might like love playing with a card. And, that makes me really want to know its backstory and know the lore behind it. I remember, like, I think one of the first times I ever even like clicked on, with the lore tab when I just like was first playing, it's because like I had when I first started to have my back cheer, and I'm like, this card is so great, but like, what's going on with this whale? Let me know what's the story with this whale here. So he's like one of the the last of the Bayfeline or whatever deep sea creatures left that rose up to wipe out a fleet during a sea battle in the the initial rise of the Chaos Legion. And it's like, oh, that's cool, man. That got me into looking into the lore more from after seeing that. So
yeah, man. So let's look at some of these Chaos Legion cards while we're on this topic.
All right.
So like I said, every single one of these cards has a part to play in the rebellion, but I want to point out a couple specifically. So let's start with Rush Townsend. So Rush Townsend is based off of a friend of mine who his real name is Russ Townsend. So he got promoted to major. He was a special operations intel analyst. When I was the chief. What was my freaking title? The chief of analytics at the Special Operations Command at SOCOM, Special Operations Command. So I was responsible for analyzing the use of Delta Force and other units around the globe. And Russ, when I first got there, Russ was like my number 2 guy. By the time I left, he was my number 1 guy. And he died in a motorcycle accident in February of this year. I remember I sat down with him one day and he showed me his evaluation report, and it was all blacked out. It was like Russ Townsend, black, 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 did this, black, 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 black. It was all top secret stuff that even I, as an individual with secret compartmentalized information clearance, could not see. But he was driving across country on his motorcycle back in February, and he died. So I created a card to honor my friend, and super cool that I was able to do that. But that's Rush Townsend. So hopefully everybody buys that card.
That's awesome.
But if you read the lore, it kind of encapsulates who Russ Townsend was as an individual. He was a guy that went out there and gave back to the community. He lived in Tampa, Florida. He did a lot of stuff for the people around him, and he gave back. And if you read the lore, that kind of talks about that. And if you look at Reclaw Cain, that is also based on a friend of mine. His name was Alan Dempsey, and he played a character named Reclaw in a multi-user dungeon, a mud that I played. And he was a good friend of mine. He had problems with alcohol, and in the end he actually reached out to my wife and I, and he said, "Hey, I'm having problems. I have a lot of trouble. Can I come live with you guys?" And at the time, we had a 2-year-old daughter, and he was having hallucinations. He was having a lot of problems. Like I said, he was an alcoholic. So we're like, yeah, we don't feel comfortable having you. We don't feel comfortable having you live with us because we have a very young daughter. Had I known what would happen, we probably would have, paid for a hotel room or something, bought him a house nearby to live in. But we told him no, sorry, we can't do that. And he stepped in front of a bus, and he ended his own life. So to honor him, I created a card called Reclaw, and that's who that is. But yeah, so those are the two cards that are, personal to me in Rebellion.
Oh man, I love that you've been able to immortalize your buddies through Splinterlands. And that gets me thinking maybe I should go back and adjust the artwork to reflect one of those guys. And I was looking at the little bit of a tangent note and more positive. The Rush Townsend tattoo. Did your buddy Russ have the big flames and skull on his arm?
Yes, those are real.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, you may see more of those in the future. I've reached out to the Splinterlands team, and I've told them that, hey, if there's someone that's near and dear to your heart, that has meant something to you in your life, let me know, and we can create a card of them.
That's beautiful,
awesome,
man.
Yeah, that really is. That's great. I mean, this is, such a good community. I feel like it's a great place to kind of be able to do that and have those people's memory live on. And, it's got to be a great way to kind of be like cathartic or be able to play with those cards, like hang out with them again, kind of keep that memory burning. So that's
Definitely.
Really awesome.
And that applies to everyone, not that just the Splinterlands team, but you, Hepthorn, Bejangles, and anyone who's listening to this. Reach out to me. Let me know if there's someone that is near and dear to your heart that you'd like to see honored as a Splinterlands card. And it may not be in the mini set, it may not be in the next set, But I mean, we can make it happen, and that's the cool thing about Splinterlands is that these cards are they're a reflection of our community, and that's freaking cool.
Yeah.
Well, if you weren't invested in the lore before, I think that was you just did your damnedest to sales pitch the shit out of that.
Hell yeah! Buy some Russ Townsend, buy some Reclaw.
I actually pulled a gold foil Russ Townsend, and like I bought 100 packs. I pulled the gold foil, but I sold it though. So, but I'm gonna buy some regular foils now. Now I wish I hadn't sold it. Now they hear that. Now I felt bad, but it's already off the market.
Beautiful, man. Well, man, Joey, what a blast, dude. I love getting to kind of take a sneak peek behind the curtain and see what's what with the lore team and kind of hearing your creative minds at work and how you approach all this stuff. And, you know, it's been a long year. You've done an absolute load of work. It's been a monumental task putting all this together, and the work clearly hasn't stopped. We there's still a whole lot that remains to be unfolded and unseen. And I hope that it's so cool to hear the passion that you're is injected in your voice as you're like, articulating your grander vision for where this, creative side of all things that we love about this game is headed, and, why you've chosen to include particular cards and elements and attributes and that sort of stuff. As kind of a brief exercise in reflection, is there kind of one point or one piece looking back at this year and the accomplishments that you and the creative team have kind of ticked off as you guys have progressed through projects that you're most proud to hang your hat on?
I don't know. Probably Rebellion itself and the conflicts. Rebellion, just because of the fact that I know people mostly just play the game; they don't pay attention to the lore. But if you look at, I love these characters. If you read the lore, it means a lot. Each one of these characters is an integral part of the Rebellion, and I think it's pretty cool. And as you move forward with the conflicts, you'll see how you, as a player, as a battle mage, move through the story. You start with Rage. You have the next character. And after that, we move into the player summoners. So I'm not exactly sure how the story will go. My goal is that will lead to the story that I plan to tell. Maybe it won't, and we'll have to adjust. But either way, it's going to be freaking cool. So Rebellion, conflicts, it's a balance between the two, and I love them both. And I think they're both going to be an integral part of the story that we're telling. But I guess the bottom line is, when you play your Rebellion cards, don't just look at them as cards, look at them as characters that you will potentially fight alongside in the story that we're going to tell. Or will be characters that whose stories will be told in the Rebellion skins that we release. And I don't know if everybody knows this, but we have skins for all these cards. I see in Mav chat, I mostly stay in Mav chat just because I'm a Mav and I don't have time to read Tavern and Mav chat and Brawl chat and everything else. Obviously, I read the Lord chat because I'm the Lord guy. But as you look at these cards, they're more than just cards that you play in game. There's a story behind each one of them, and they play a part in Rebellion. And I hope that players check that out and see, hey, I'm looking at them right now, the sultry barmaid or the sexy barmaid, as I've heard it called, has a story, and it's intertwined with what's his name, Abraxas, and the new Scott Drudge. They're the same story. Read the lore and know how these characters interact, and kind of think in your head, hey, what's going to happen next? Because it's going to be super interesting, I think, and I think it's going to be super cool.
Well, on that note, man, I would love to see, like, some synergies happen that are a direct result of the lore. So we've heard time and time again that items and spells, maybe there's a spell that's going to benefit all the Gobsons, or an item that's going to boost the morale of Team Drybone, or whatever that looks like. But if there was stuff that was a little bit more subtle and kind of behind the scenes and allowed for the players to discover these synergies as they read the lore, and if there's relationships there, or whatever that looks like, all of a sudden there's a new buff or new nerf to the opponent as a result of you playing this distinct set of synergistic cards according to the lore.
Yeah, so that's something that we have planned. No promises. Something that Nate has proposed to the leadership, something that we as the narrative team are championing is look at all the splinters on Splinter lore, is creating synergies amongst these cards, where the Goblano and the Chaos Legion and folks from New Ska City, or the Phyrexian Empire, all of that, if you play them together, they have some kind of synergy, whether it's +1 health, +1 attack, -1 magic, +1 magic, etc. I think that'd be super cool to see those kind of things play out in game. And if they don't play out like that, there's other options, like one of the things we've explored and have built out is should I say this? Is reputation. Yes. So reputation. When you fight in battles, when you play through story mode, do you build your reputation with the Crimean Empire, the Phyrexian Empire, or the Belarusian Empire? Does each of your battles contribute towards that? Does your actions in story mode contribute towards that? And what does that mean? Do you get new skins? Do you get new player avatars? Do you get bonuses in battle? All those are options, and those are all things that we're exploring. All things that we haven't talked about in the town halls or Discord, which I'm revealing here and may get fired for.
Actually, Nate brought that topic up. Well, he was on here. We had him on here a couple months back, and he did bring that up as a hypothetical option, as a sort of a way to move forward.
I should watch Nate's interviews before I
So yeah, don't worry, you'll be safe on that one. We'll find something to get you fired, but it won't be that one.
So I can say this is just, all this is in my head, is all stuff Nate's brainstormed. None of it's promised, but all of it is, pie in the sky. And if we see it someday, how freaking cool is that going to be?
Yeah.
To be able to log in and do your ranked battles and not just get freaking some rewards and some cards, soul-bound cards, and some chests. But what if you're increasing your reputation with the Mox Confederation and getting specific skins for them, or cards, or spell cards, or whatever.
Even if it's like just even like with the rewards cards, right? It's like, can be, some people are frustrated because they don't have certain rewards cards. Maybe if you're using that splinter, you're more likely to get that rewards card, or your chests will be from doing that'll be, that group of rewards cards. And something like that would be cool too, because then you could kind of work on what cards you wanted first, and kind of help build out your deck and stuff that way, how you like to play. So
yeah, man, that would be so cool. And as a player, I'd love it. And as a team member, I'd love to create it. And I mean, even though we've reduced the size of our company, I think it's actually helped in that regard, because we're more focused on these things. Whereas having, I don't know, 100 people or however many we had, everybody was kind of their fingers in all the pies. Whereas now we're very focused on certain things, and I'm focused on very certain things as the narrative lead, things that I want to happen. And I can champion those things, and hopefully someday they'll come to fruition.
Sweet, man. Yeah, I just one more quick acknowledgement of how you guys rolled out Rebellion. The reveal of the ambush ability was pretty sneaky. Was that a product of your own mind, or how did that come about?
Call me Tim.
Call me Tim. Gotcha.
Yep. So he came up with the abilities and the stats for the cards. I argued for a few things. He was amiable to some of them, not others. So call me Tim if you're watching this. I did give in the Dragonling hatch. What's it called? Redworm hatchling.
Yeah.
Was originally the Redworm Dragonling. He did not want to give another dragon card flying, so we changed the name to Hatchling, and it's just a Hatchling. But yeah, for the most part, we created character concepts. We matched those abilities to the character concept. If they didn't match, Call Me Tim made compromises. We made compromises and created new characters. But in the end, I think it all mirrored up and matched pretty good. And where it didn't mirror up and match, you may see it as reward cards.
Intent. Yeah. Last question for you, Joey. We've kind of seen. I was talking about this stuff with some of the guildmates. Since Rebellion has dropped, there's not a whole lot of force field in Rebellion. There's not a whole lot of reflection shield in Rebellion. Has there been some thought or kind of direction from either Yaba or Call Me Tim to kind of keep abilities to, and therefore your lore, to kind of limit abilities and strategies to particular sets? Is there?
We're actually phasing out some abilities. That's why you don't see force field and some other abilities. You won't see them in Rebellion. You may not see them in the mini set. Maybe they will be introduced in the next set. But it's all about creating the meta, what's important, what's not, determining if it works, if it doesn't, and then making changes in the next set.
That's so sweet, man. And that's such a great way to give, ongoing value to the likes of Chaos Legion. Like Force Field is such a, I don't know how many times I've been so pissed off that, I half expect the Mycelic slip spawn. And then it's right there, and you've thrown out all the heavy hitters in a 99 mana match, and you're just,
oh god, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, you're just slowly dinking away, and it's just not enough time to So yeah, beautiful move, man. Yeah, exactly. Enter the sand dune megalodon, man. That's
exactly
exciting stuff. Well, shoot, Joey. Hep, is there anything else you want to get out on the table for discussion before we start wrapping things up?
Oh, I want to say that this was great. Thanks for joining us. I think when I was just back as a humble listener, instead of a mediocre podcast host, your episode was probably one of my favorites. One of the ones I really, really enjoyed. I mean, I love listening to the podcast and hearing everybody's stories and, hearing, especially from the team members, like how things work. So, I really, really loved that first episode. It was great to hear about your background, and I feel like you didn't disappoint this time either. I thought we had another great one, and it was thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate you being here.
Yeah, I love being on here. Thanks for inviting me. You guys are awesome. And hopefully everybody listens to this episode, gets a little alpha of what's to come, and where our mind's at. And the lore channel is always open for anyone who has input. Create your own Reclaw, create your own Rush, Townsend. I'm open to it, and let me know.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. I have a sneaky suspicion that your email box is going to be chock full of stuff. Do you want to toss your email out there for folks to reach out to you directly on that?
No,
no.
Joey at splinterlands.com. Hit me up.
Bingo. Brilliant, man. Yeah, like Hep said, I'm going to echo everything. A lot of fun. We've been looking forward to this for a while. I have, as we spoke off air, I mentioned to you, I've enjoyed a little bit of a reprieve from getting my ass handed to me by the likes of BreakingBenjamin. There's been, I feel like we hardly ever crossed paths before the last episode. Since the last episode, I don't have a very stellar record against you, so it's been nice getting a little bit of a reprieve, and hopefully, we're on equal footing with all things Chaos Legion and Rebellion next time we meet up.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. I love the shit talk. I hope that's one of the bits that makes it into the umbrella that is new user experiences, allowing for some in-game trash talk during matches and stuff like that.
Yeah, hell yeah. I agree.
Hell yeah. Yeah. Awesome, dude. Well, yeah, like Kep said, thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. A lot of fun, a lot of cool stuff to come out, and I think this is one for the ages. Great conversation, great stuff. Love learning more about the lore and how you and Team Creative kind of map this stuff out and put it all together and bring it to the people of Praetoria, dude.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.
All right, man. Well, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Thank you for stopping by. You have been listening to
The People's Guild.